All right. So Speglas is a Swedish band out of Stockholm, and this is their second EP. I believe the first one released in 2015, not long after the sort of band leader uh, had toured with Morbus Kron as the second guitarist, and this band always felt like an extension of where Swevin was going before that band split up. More recently, he and some other members were involved in Swevin the band and their debut LP from a couple years ago. So uh, a lot of people know that Morbus Kron is one of my favorite bands in general. So this is sort of a given that I'm only at least interested, and I am a huge fan of the first EP. So this is very similar in most every way to that first EP, and it does reflect some of the evolution of ideas and just performances that we found in Swevin. But uh, this one feels even a little bit more keeping in touch with the new wave of traditional heavy metal or just heavy metal in general, while uh, stepping back from some of the more uh, sort of more profound death metal ideas of the first record. This is all very subtle, in tone, I guess. This is a sleepier, more soft touch of an EP from the band, even though it is, when you're outside of the moment, it is a heavier sort of progressive death metal album. Uh, Now, we can start using the term post death metal if you want to. Really, it's just progressive rock influenced death metal, and let's just say rock influenced death metal because you'll feel the heavy rock influence all over this thing, and it's a pretty substantial EP. It's about I think 29 minutes long, so there's a lot to absorb. There's a lot to immerse within here, and I'm pretty enthusiastic about it. This is sort of my favorite sort of thing out of death metal in the last 10 years. This style, which subverts a lot of the usual bullshit, but still has a sense of traditional death metal influence in the general motor memory of what it does. So definitely my thing. So that hence the very high recommendation. Um, but I think it really will help a lot to have the precedence of the first EP in mind because they're they're much related in both style and aesthetic, and this is a very smart continuation quite a few years later. So I appreciated the finer points of detail in here and just the general ease of the performances. I don't know that it's as exciting of a you know thing to step into as the EP was, but that's just because it's a little bit softer, a little more deliberate, and generally just a little bit more, I guess, for lack of a better term, progressive. It's finer work that's more thoughtful and evocative, and uh, that means being a bit more patient with it. So that may or may not be your thing. Definitely give it a listen and see if that's your thing.